What up, y'all? So I'm here editing right now, and I just want to say I'm so excited to be presenting you this episode visually as well too, and just for you to meet one of my good friends. And also, I needed to apologize because in the next clip, it's me explaining what revenge bedtime procrastination is from what I got from a website that I was looking at. But for those, that are very picky with what they see, because I tend to be like that too when something's like not right. So my eyeliner is not the best. In this little clip, you could see it more in this little clip. It did when I did it, it looked okay, but it kind of this side looks a little bit like more intense than this side does. So just follow me through there, hold with me. But yes, other than that, it's such a good topic, and I can't wait for y'all to see. So enjoy. So just checked again. It was actually this side that's intense. But yes, I shouldn't be like honestly saying anything about it, but it's like it bugs me. I think I'm probably the only one that's gonna be like when I watched this over, it was bugging me, but I just wanted to let y'all know because I feel like that's very relatable and just normal. So yeah. So I just want to say hey, and yeah, we are starting our YouTube. Not starting, but we're doing a podcast. So I did already did a podcast, and I did a YouTube version of it. So basically, just like visual of the podcast, so you can kind of see from both angles. And yeah, I'm super excited because it was just an amazing episode. So yeah, before we get into it, the episode itself, it is such an amazing one too. We're going to talk about revenge, bedtime, procrastination. I have to look here because I have to remember the whole word. And now we kind of know it because we made like an abbreviation for it, which is RBP. And yeah, so this is season two's first episode. So I'm super excited because I had a guest for it. And yeah, so a little bit going into it, I'm getting this information. So I'm citing this. It's getting information from Sleep Foundation, a one care media company. So, what is revenge bedtime procrastination? So, it just describes the decision of just spending that me time during the night because your busy schedules during the day. So, you're using that to spend during the night. It usually happens with a lot of people that are like with just a lot of stress, just a lot of busy people that they only have me time towards the end of the day, which usually causes late hours. It could have an effect, a lot negative effects. It's like mental, physical, and emotional health. It could have short and long-term consequences. And it's just, the delay that you have with sleep. Like you may not have difficulty with sleep, but you have the delay, which I tend to have a lot. I do this like every night. I've been trying now that I've heard about it, I've been trying not to do it, but we're always catching ourselves, especially with social media. So a lot of the revenge has to do with the revenge of just, trying to catch up with what we're trying to do, having our me time, looking at social media, looking at, getting that revenge of I'm not looking here to get the information, but looking to get the revenge that you didn't like the about the time that you didn't get during the daytime. So the psychology behind it, which y'all know I'm in the psychology field right now with pursuing my degree with clinical psychology. So it's just very like it's known as the intention behavior gap. So you have those like people that procrastinate and want to get enough sleep. So you're trying to have like that self-care, taking care of yourself all the time, but you're kind of failing to do that because you're not really doing that me time because you're not getting enough sleep. So you're having that, a lot of people see it as a way that procrastination, your time for control, because throughout the day you might have not have that time for control. So it's more of an emphasis towards the night. And a lot of students go through it, women, and just everyone. There's a lot of people that go through it, especially with COVID right now too. It's a lot of working hours. So I just tells you a little bit with that, and it just causes a lot of we are tired in the morning. Our decision making is not that great. And there's a lot of tips that have here on the website, but also a lot of tips that we're getting from our guests in the podcast. I'm very happy for that. So if y'all want to go look at a lot more of this, you can search any website, but the information I'm getting it from right now is Sleep Foundation, a one care media company. So you can just search it up, the like Revenge Bedtime Procrastination. It'll probably pop up the Sleep Foundation, the one I'm looking at. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy the video and the episode itself. So bye.
So I am with a special guest today. Her name is Jessica Jones, and I met her through grad school. So it's honestly, I've been wanting her in an episode for so long, and I'm finally back too. So I feel like it's a great way to start season 2. And especially with the topic we're going to talk about, which is revenge bedtime procrastination. And yeah, first I want to let Jessica like introduce herself. So take it away.
Hi, you guys. I'm Jessica. I'm a full-time educator during the week and an artist at all other times. I mean, I think educators are artists too. And yeah, like Jessica said, we're doing grad school together, and it's been a roller coaster ride so far. So it's been really nice to learn about all these cool things. And so when you said to me, let's talk about revenge bedtime procrastination, I was like, yes. First of all, I didn't even know what it was. And then I was super excited to talk about it because I think most people will feel like that. They don't know what it is.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's definitely very like relatable. And I feel like for us being so full time with just either working or like as a student as well too, it's very, common. I feel like a lot of people, we just want to have our me time. And yeah, so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And we want to apologize in advance if you hear any noises because, it's during the day. And usually in season 1, I did a lot of my podcast episodes at night. So, because there was not that much noise. But, sometimes you just want to do daytime. And also with us, we have time difference. It's a little bit difficult, but, we made it work. So, yeah, I'm like super excited. And let's just get right into it. So, when you heard, we were talking about it, Jessica. So, when you heard about revenge bedtime procrastination, what were you thinking?
Okay. So immediately, I'm thinking to myself, everybody in America, I guess, or any fast paced society in other countries, I'm sure, who's doing more than one thing is doing this. If you're if you're a mom taking care of your kids, you have a job and you have friends, you have to do this. There's like no way to avoid doing this, it seems like, in your day-to-day life. I feel like this is so relatable.
Exactly. It is
We're
really.
grad students, we
Mhm.
work, we're friends, we're this, we're that. And then within being grad students, you have those assignments where you have to go do, different videos with different people or different um, volunteer work and things like that. So you're also fulfilling all of those roles. How can you do all that and still have time for yourself? It's like there aren't enough hours in the day.
Exactly. I'm glad that you bring up a lot about the hours because in a picture, it seems like 24 hours. Okay, that's a lot of hours. But once you put all those different things, us being different people for other people, so like, you know, um, just a significant other, a daughter, a friend, a teacher, student, it's those fill up throughout the day, like you're saying. And I feel like, of course, the last thing we want to like make the day just perfect is me time.
Right. Because you have to
Self-care.
recharge. You have to recharge somewhere. Like there has to be. And I think honestly, it's sad that that's our me time in the first place. If your me time is you cramming some, time on your Facebook feed to find out what's going on in your friend's life because you really don't have time for a full conversation. So you just only have enough time to be nosy, or like you're just have time for a shower and so you stay up and you shower really late, you take a 2-hour bath when you know you should be sleeping. Those things, it shouldn't have to be like one or the other, a sacrifice for the other to occur, but unfortunately it's become that way.
Definitely, especially the time that we're in too. I feel like we're in a time where those type of like, oh, I'm a boss, I'm like, I know how to do it. I know how to multitask and manage all this stuff all at once. And I feel like that's where our mindset starts becoming like, oh, we could do it. It's fine. I could do it. And I feel like that's what happened to me through the years too. I was like, oh, I could definitely put like add in another hour of my sleep. No, it's fine. And I think I don't know if anyone's gonna relate to this too. I feel like it might be relatable that I feel like I made the excuse a lot that I was a night owl. I was like, oh, I'm a night owl. This is my time to that I'm most comfortable. Today is not really my time, so I'll use my me time. Night owl. So I think that's
Yes, that is a common, I'm gonna call it a self-fib.
yeah.
People do lie to themselves and be like, oh, I just, I can't sleep. Or honestly, people who have not been diagnosed with insomnia, but just say, oh, I have insomnia. When really, I always ask the question, like, what did you do to prepare for bed? Like, what did you do to prepare for winding down and going to sleep? Did you do anything at all, or did you just sit in the bed on your phone with a bright, huge screen in front of you and pretend that you were going to go to sleep when you knew actually you had a checklist of all the things you're going to do on your phone before you put it down? Which one is it?
Definitely. I feel like it's exactly that. You tell yourself that, okay, time to go to bed, but it's like you going to your room or you just getting into bed, putting the blankets on with your phone. And that's why so many
Exactly.
say to use like a blue light or do different things, right? To just kind of make it not as bad, but it's like it's like if we have another schedule for us in those like hours, you know, especially for me, I always had really tough time, kind of a tough time, really kind of telling myself, go to bed, just go to bed. Because I always just didn't want to go to bed because it was just me time. And now I know what the name is. Um, I didn't know what the name was. I just thought it was just me not wanting to sleep yet. Because I don't have difficulty like a difficult time sleeping. It's just I just choose to not go to bed at I guess a healthy time. I don't know.
But like, think about it. If you can categorize so many things as this.
Hmm.
If you decide, for example, because this is something I would do, right? If you decide to go out to a lounge with your friends, have dinner, have drinks, dance, and you know that you have to go to work at a certain time the next day, but you still go anyway, isn't that revenge bedtime procrastination? Like, that staying up till 3 is not the look. You can do it. You can get up, do your job. Nobody will ever know, like, not skip a beat. So you'll go. But you know that you stayed up till 3 and you're only going to get 3 hours of sleep. I feel like that's still revenge bedtime procrastination. I think all that counts. Or like,
That definitely counts
yeah.
because it's like
Gosh.
you were saying too, like we're like, oh man, like we've done that. I feel like everyone listening right now probably has done that at some point. Because the amount of times like I feel like people, no matter they're working in college or different things that you're doing, like you have those days where you're just like, okay, I could stay until this time. And then after I could still have like four hours. For me, 4 hours was kind of the limit. Like 4 hours, me the next day, I would be so like less than 4 hours, I would be so cranky. Like, do not talk to me. And I had less than those hours before, on some particular days where I look like I probably got hit by a bus and like you're just like, oh, okay, don't mess with Jess today. Cause I was very social. But those hours taken away from me was like, nope. But I kept doing it because I chose to. Like, I could do it. It'll be fine. So
Yes. Well, like when I first saw this, I also said to myself, is there like some version of this where instead of it's me time, people sacrifice their self-care and sleep time for money?
oh,
Because I was the type of person who had 3 jobs and knowing darn well should not have been working 3 jobs. I used to like serve tables and bartend at night, teach during the day, go to school in the evenings. Like, why was I doing that? I think that That's like another form of that. Like it has to be. Because I don't think, I don't know, I could have lived. I think financially I had gotten to a point where I could live without doing one of the jobs, but I wouldn't be able to have the self-care part of my income. There it is.
There it
I wouldn't have
is.
been able to do my shopping, and I love to shop. Like, listen, y'all, I love to shop. So I think that's what it was. I revenged myself through working extra hours just to have my self-care, which is shopping. Wow.
Exactly. And I feel like this is, Jessica, you're an example of people that are like, working that many jobs and hours, and they just keep doing it, or they've done it in the past and they're like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I deserve more than that. But you have a good point that now you're able to, because of that time that you were just working your butt off, you're able to now to be like, oh, I got that self-care, all taken care of a little bit, because I
Right.
could have more freedom to do certain things that I was not able to at the time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But like when I was reading about revenge, like, is there an acronym? We have to make an acronym.
RVP.
Yes, when I read about RVP, I heard about people who live in Asian cultures mostly, that work the 9-9-6 schedule, where they work from 9 to 9 for 6 days a week, every single day. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, yes, a lot of Americans are also on that schedule, because if not 7 days a week, because they have to have multiple jobs. So I see that part, but I don't. When I saw that a lot of people who in that culture work that 9 to 9 schedule have been getting diagnosed, or I guess their therapist has been talking to them about this condition or this phenomenon with them. And I think it's interesting that, because all of the daylight hours, all the fun hours where anything's open or anything's functioning, they're at work for that entire time. It's like the only way that you can consume others outside of your job is through the computer at night when you should be sleeping. And I think this reliance on computers to be our social connection is what's created this. Because before, people knew that that's the only way you could socialize. You had to write a letter, or you had to make a phone call, or you had to go take a trip. So they had more, vacation time, because you had to take a trip to see your mom, not FaceTime. And they had all these other things to accommodate for it. I'm not sure in that culture, but at least in our culture, I feel
Yeah.
like vacation times have gotten shorter over time, to accommodate for it. I think it's crazy how now all those accommodations and things like that have been taken away, and people are just like, oh, you have FaceTime or you have Zoom, and you don't need to, or I'll take my vacation this year. Like, what? Like, no, we need to have time for ourselves. It's not healthy, and
Oh,
that's a form of
definitely.
social isolation. Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. No, yeah, you have a good point on that too. That and I hope you enjoy the helicopter passing by. But you totally have a good point in the fact of different cultures too, and then also that we kind of, I didn't think about that, the whole FaceTime moment. Now, of course, we have that capability now, and I feel like, yeah, there was more time, vacation time before, because I was even talking about this with my mom the other day too, how things are so different. When I was growing up, I remember vacations being taken more, longer time, family members gathering more. And I'm not talking only with like the pandemic, of course, the gatherings are not happening, but just in general throughout the years, I've noticed that, like, especially with my family, like, just throughout the years, we all grow into either our own families or our own business, or just like our own lives, that we don't get together as much. And I feel like it's very consumed sometimes with just having me time and having a lot of just the isolation too. I feel like there's points, and I don't know if anyone like relates to me on this, but we kind of need our time, because we're kind of sometimes get sick of people in a way. Like, we just need, just give me 2 seconds, because there's always people trying to compare each other, trying to, just be kind of, just honestly, just that, just always trying to compare different people from each other. So you're like, the only time I only have to be myself is, at night. or throughout the day, depending on what schedule everyone has, but it's definitely coming from that too.
Yeah, it's and it's really just a construct of society. You know, back in like when you, I always think about this. Like this is a thought that I always have. I think because I think this is a thought most people who are stressed have. Like, what was it like before? Like it couldn't have been like this because how could they deal with this and that? So I think back when the things that you were most concerned about were having food for your family that you somehow like grew or supplied or bartered and traded for, and making sure you gave into the community or the village that you're working and living in some type of way, your job, and then making sure you raised your family or contributed to some type of unit because you never really were by yourself truly in like the village communities. And so now to be like so far from that, it seems, I don't know, like unnatural. Like if you look at animals in, in the animal kingdom, they work their animal job to support the animal community. It's not like they have like 5 animal jobs or anything like that. It's like they have their one job for the community. That's what they do. They add, it's not a hectic thing, and there you don't see like their ecosystem just being damaged by themselves. It's usually some type of outside force. So I think that's what's happening to us. It's like this outside pressure to just constantly be doing more and more and more. And if you're not doing the most, you're not doing enough because you're lazy. It's just so unnatural. It's not, you know.
And I feel like that goes with a lot. I'm glad that you brought up with just how things were before with humans too, with just like back then with there was the main focus was like having kids, working in like the ranches and like just the mom being the one at home cooking the dinner and all that stuff, right? And I feel like now with just the society that we're in, it's like kind of just again with me time. So you're just kind of like, oh, what are we supposed to do now? What is life about? There's not much to do. And I feel like it has to do a lot with just the media as well, with just everything going on with politics, everything going on with just the climate change and just all that stuff that we see. I feel like it also causes us to be like, okay, am I supposed to be an advocate for this too? So you start being like, I want to be an advocate, but then you're like, okay, I need to be an advocate too, but just make sure that I have enough time to do my to-do list as well. So I feel like
Yes.
that's what, especially in the day that we're in today, like with just all the bad things that are happening at the time at the moment, it's just I catch myself doing this too, where I'm just like, I, repost all these things on Instagram, I retweet all these things on Twitter, I'll read about it, and then I like, tell my parents, I'm like, why is this happening in the world? Like, and I like literally I'm in tears, and I'm talking for like myself, but I feel like for everyone too, that we're just in tears and we're like wanting to keep, making a change. And I feel like that goes with a lot with just why there's such a procrastination with ourselves and that lack of self-care as well, that we're just like it's funny, we're having more me time, but then we're also kind of lacking self-care though.
Yeah, it's like our me time, our
Mhm.
so-called me time is us fighting social justice on Instagram. Like that's like just like I was just talking to Roz. I was like, my me time is doing a podcast. It's still working. Honestly, it is. Everything is just,
Technical difficulties of like just making sure it was here though. Okay, it's still in process.
this is part of life, honey.
A
This
part
is
of
now our
life.
life. We are
Even though
digital.
we have the good conversation here. This is why I wanted to do two just in case. And it's funny because
Yes.
the guess I didn't do it last time, so it's gonna be Yusuf's gonna get the technical difficulties aspect of it
Yes.
because
Let's get digital.
okay, let's go.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna do this again. Hopefully it comes back to my thing when we're done, just in general. But okay, I'm sending to you again. This is fun.
Yes.
I think I've learned the hard way because having listened to so many podcasts too, I'm like, they're not, they're all started in one way or they all started, different ways. And there's a lot of technical difficulties, especially like for a couple months that I've been doing with like, YouTube and like the podcast too. See, this is my me time basically. Tell me when you get it.
I have it. I'm signing in right now.
Yay.
Giving myself audio.
It told me that it's gonna, after the thing is done, it's gonna have it there. It's just the audio is processing, so it'll end up at the library after. So
yeah, and then you probably can do all the
You
magic.
should see me when I'm doing it. I'm like,
yes.
YouTube, you're getting the full like sneak peek of how I do this. Okay, cool, we're back. So where are we at again?
So we were talking about how our me time is actually work, and you were talking about just feeling like wanting to be an advocate for social justice. So you're on Instagram advocating, but that's like a job in itself. It's not really you time. Just like I get on Facebook to try to like, I don't know what's going on in other people's lives, know what's going on in the news. Excuse me. Know what's going on in the news, but that in itself feels like a task. Like honestly, I'll be like, I have this app that I downloaded, was supposed to be helping me build my habits and find time to do all these things, and I literally can't even get to that app in my day. Like I've had like so many different schedules I've been trying out, and I've yet to be able to really truly get to that app in my day, because I feel like there's always something else that needs to be done that has a deadline that I have to do before I can get to the app. And I think that's just what's happening overall with society. The deadlines, maybe that's really what it is. Maybe we're trying to get too much done in too short of a time, because we can accomplish these things, but it's the deadlines that are just ridiculous.
No, you're totally right on that, and I feel like you could relate to me on this, Jess, too, and whoever's listening as well, with grad school, like the async material. I catch myself probably doing that the day maybe of or the day before, because I try my best. Usually they tell you to be like, oh, you could do like 2 modules each day. Do I do that? No, I don't. I always catch myself either doing it the day before or the day of, because you have to do so much in it. And I feel like, again, like you said, it's deadlines that we're just like, oh, we can do it. It's fine. I have time. I have time to do it. Even if I have to go to bed late, it's totally fine.
Right. And more revenge procrastination. More of it. Yeah, it's a cycle. I think what has to happen from the bottom, from the top down, there has to be a change. Like Definitely. Overall, we either restructure the way high school is done, so that your first 2 years of college is done actually in high school, free, public, and then you do your other 2 years of college, and then you go to graduate school, and that's what you pay for. Graduate school, don't pay for college, you pay for graduate school, so that everyone can have at least a baseline of education that's free. Because what can you really, like, how are you going to have these mandates of society? And then that's the other thing that I find that takes a lot of time. If you never learned how to do things in a shorter amount of time, or how to streamline it, or you're learning as you go, everything takes longer to do. Everything. Like as we switch to distance learning as educators, I feel so bad for educators who originally didn't have skills in like Google Suites, because then you had to learn all these things. And I know when they're creating something that takes me an hour takes them 2.5 hours, because I know shortcuts, I know, keyboard shortcuts, I know all these things, and then other people don't. And it's like, dang, this is going to take you a really long time.
Yes.
That's because all the stuff that I was able to get through free education online, I had to know how to get online to find. It's like there's too many blocks to information that will make things better, and then the deadlines are crazy.
No, I totally agree with that too, and the fact of how much it changed during the pandemic too, with a teachers definitely having to figure out, okay, I'm not used to this, what, so that takes an extra time from their me time. Let's just say they planned it out to the fact of I don't know how to kind of do this, so let me just take time out of my day before class and like let me figure this out. Because it does, it's not as easy as it looks. I know there's probably some people that are like, oh no, it's so easy. But no, it takes, there's so many aspects of it too that we don't think about as well. I feel like we just always leave ourselves to like, okay, the next time I'll figure it out. It's fine. I'll figure it out. That's always like what we tell it ourselves. So I totally
Yes,
agree
like
with that too.
literally I yawn so much. I've noticed this. No, for real. The past like week or two, I've
Mhm.
noticed how much I yawn. I know that that is not a normal way of living. That is a direct sign that I'm doing too much. But I feel like if I wasn't doing too much, then I would be running out of time. Like I wouldn't finish my program. And then it's just like so many dominoes of if I just took a little bit more time, then this would take a little bit more time. And then so with this and so with this. And it's just
And I think all comes from like having this like plan for ourselves, and then we're like, oh well, I want to finish at this time this program, like so that means I have to make sure I always keep at the same pace at all times. And I feel like we forget that we have to like kind of go with the flow, because I'm similar too. I'm like, no, I need to do this in the correct way. Like for a while I kept like, and I'm barely getting better, like I kept comparing myself to so many other people's journeys. I'm like, Jess, you can't do this because you're just gonna drive yourself crazy, because there's not gonna be one person that's gonna, be the exact same way, where they're gonna be exactly the doing the same thing as you are, and you're gonna be like, okay, someone else is doing the same thing, so it's fine. Like there's always gonna be people doing different things a bit better than you, like in different areas, and you as well are gonna be doing things a bit better than someone else. So it's always like, why am I causing myself so much trying to like be 5 years ahead of my time when I don't really have to be 5 years ahead of my time? It's just me. And I still kind of struggle with that throughout like just different aspects of my life, where I'm just like I need to like, I'm like, I need to stop comparing myself, because it's my journey, my life. And I like believe all in like signs and everything, and that we all have a path, so I just feel like it's gonna come to me. Like I feel like we're very just like go with the flow, but then we're also people that, Jessica and I, also I feel like over as I don't know, I feel like I overthink, and I remember us talking to that, Jessica overthinks as well.
yes,
That we're
definitely
just
part of that club.
right. It's like that's probably a club of like the whole world, especially right now too, with just like how everything is. But
And that's part of
I
my revenge procrastinating, just sitting up all night overthinking.
maybe I'm like, okay, I could have done that like literally it's
The
funny
whole
because
day.
there was different things. Like I think there was one thing that happened in my life that it was something I made a mistake on, but no one really noticed. And I was like, man, if I like would have like done that differently. And I'm like, Jess, you had it like a week ago, like chill, like it's okay, like no one noticed it. But you're just like, oh, I could
Yup.
have had it better, like this and that. But again, we forget,
Ruminating.
ruminating. And it's the thing of me that people have told me like, just it's okay, like it's fine, like don't worry, like yes, have structure, but also have that ability to just it's funny that I overthink a lot, because I also, one of my skills is that I adapt to a lot of situations. I think in our field we kind of have to be very skilled in that area, because it wouldn't work with clients, like in therapy and just with just the counseling that we're going to be doing. It just, you kind of have to adapt to different people, and especially with like being a teacher as well too. Like you have to be able to adapt to all these new kids that are coming in every year. It's not going to be like,
Yes. Like when
so
anyone in class says like, oh, I'm really nervous about, getting to have to deal with different people personalities or different cultures and different ages. Like I'm, only used to dealing with these type of people.
Mhm.
Every time I just think to myself, like, I've never had the option. Like between teaching and serving tables and being a bartender and working, you know, in the health field and like volunteering there, never had that option. But I think everybody in life should be forced to not have that option. I know it seems like, oh, I should be able to choose what I want to do in my life. And yes, cool, yes. But I think everybody should be forced to interact with all different types of people, because you truly are
Definitely.
missing out on your life if you're not doing that.
Yeah, because you're being, honestly, even if it's consciously or unconsciously, you're being very close-minded to other people in the world. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
okay if you're like that maybe when you're a little kid, because you're a little kid, you're such in a bubble, you know? I feel like we all kind of see the world until we start growing up. Some people earlier, you know, as a teen, later on,
Mhm.
adults start seeing the world a bit differently. But I feel like, yeah, you need to meet different people in, you know, your society, because if you don't, you're not going to know who's who, how they like react to things. Like yesterday I actually got my vaccine, so I'm very like happy. I got my first one, so I'm like, yes. And
Mhm.
I realized what type of person I am, and I've grown throughout the years. Like, I had, it came the hard way because I was very shy in the beginning. Was I got my vaccine, and a lot of the workers though there, the healthcare workers were just like very like social, and I, again, very social, so I was interacting with them. And after, when I was sitting there for 15 minutes just waiting, I was like, I really like enjoyed the conversation with the lady that was there too. And right after, I went to ask for her name because I was like, I need to network with different people. So I was like, I like you. I like your personality. Like, what's your name? So I could end up, you know, knowing someone from the San. I was about to say the thing, well, you guys can know, but it's the San Dimas Community Hospital. So very great hospital. They were all so nice. But I'm like, all so nice. But it was my first time ever being in that location, and I was like, she's amazing. Like, I love this lady. So I was used that opportunity to network. So I feel like people need to be in those situations so they can learn how to network. Because I feel like that's what gets you honestly known.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's also what gives you opportunities. Like some
Mhm,
people, like I try to explain this to people. The
mhm,
opportunity that you need sometimes hasn't been created.
mhm.
Sometimes you have to create it. And
Exactly.
sometimes that gets created by just you putting yourself out there, going like, oh, hey, I've been, what are you up to? Nothing. I'm out here just going from interview to interview. Oh, really? Wow, I'm hiring at my firm. You never know. Like, you cannot limit yourself. I try to have a conversation with anybody who sparks one with me. If you're gonna start it, I'll finish it with you, because it's just,
Exactly.
I don't know. I think it's part of human experience. It's part of
Mhm,
all that stuff. It's self-care, because it's something that I do for myself. I guess that's like my actual self-care, like getting to know people.
mhm.
But I think there's such a stigma put on people who want to get to know people. So then people are afraid to do it. Like, oh, why is this weirdo talking to me? It shouldn't be like that. It should
It
just be like,
shouldn't.
oh, this person, we're having a conversation. I think for other people who like to have conversations, maybe that happens naturally for them.
Mhm.
But sometimes I have that feeling like, oh, maybe this person thinks I'm weird because I'm being so nice. But I do it anyway. It shouldn't be that way.
No, I totally feel that too. I um I get, especially with when we do that stuff, and I'm pretty sure you could probably tell like what you feel at that moment too. I get seen as like the crazy one, and I mean, I'm crazy. I totally admit it. Like, I just have a very weird,
Same.
like, right? We have that, like, this is
It's a
why we can like
Jessica thing.
yes, definitely a Jessica thing. If you can look at on Urban Dictionary, look at Jessica, they come out like some, you know, crazy things too. So it's like they know our
I've done that
personality,
before. I'm
right?
like,
You're like, oh,
yes,
you're like,
yes,
yes,
that is
we,
me. Sometimes I'm like,
but
you're clearly an angry person.
you're like, you don't like Jessica. You probably had a bad, you know, history with them. But it's funny
Right.
because like I have been known as to be like just a crazy wild one. And I feel like, especially in the field that we're in, a lot of people view us that way as well. Because we're just so like, are you reading my mind? You know, like, it's like, no, we're not magic. We just know how to just different skills. And
Right.
it's like that type of thing where, exactly, like, it sucks that it has to be that way where, why are you talking to me? Like, no, like that, I'm not, I don't, that personality, I'm not connecting with it. which I mean, to each their own. Everyone has their certain group that they want to go to, but I feel like we all have to have that skill to just be like, have at least like one conversation like with someone without thinking like they're a weirdo for coming up to talk to you. Like that's just
Hmm.
normal common sense conversation and honestly manners too. Like
Yes, and that's missing these days.
right,
Missing,
missing a lot.
missing a lot.
And I would say that, and I'm probably gonna mic drop on this, missing in person and in text too. So I'm just putting that out there because some people in text messages are very just lacking it in there too. And I know
Hmm.
that's preference, like people that don't text, but there's I know they like texting. There's some people that like texting, but there's just some people that they don't like, kind of, they're just kind of very, let's just put it straightforward a little bit, and they just do one word answers. And I don't know, it just goes with preference too, but I just feel like that comes a lot with just all of that stuff too. And I feel
Yeah,
like
like go ahead. No, go
or
go.
like this usually happens with us, but no, I was just gonna ask you like what are ways that you think could be like an outcome, like a way that that could change, or like you feel like, I know it's gonna take a long time, but
I just I think everything dwindles back down to school
mhm,
because no matter what, we can't depend on parents to teach all their kids the same thing. So we know that, like,
mhm,
can't depend on y'all to teach. We can't even depend on some of y'all to just do what y'all need to do. So we cannot
exactly.
depend on you all to all teach manners or community based lifestyle or any of that stuff. But it's up to school to one teach you to assert yourself. That's one thing we talk about in
Mhm,
class all the time. School does not teach you to be assertive, not around the board. It's not a common curriculum on being assertive. Okay, there's no
exactly.
common curriculum on that. And then there's no common curriculum on what's a healthy lifestyle. How many hours a day should you work? How many hours a day should you rest? There's no common information or education shared about that. So you won't even know that you're having unhealthy, you know, behaviors or, patterns or habits unless someone teaches you that. We can't depend on parents to do that because we don't know what parents are going to say and we don't know where parents are coming from. So then we have to have a baseline as a country.
Mhm,
And I feel like that's something we haven't been doing. The
mhm,
other societies do is
mhm,
there's no baseline for this is what needs to happen to have a healthy life. Here's how we're going to help support that through the government by having these kind of mandated breaks, these kind of mandated vacations, these kind of mandated hour limits, like 40 plus hours a week. Like that should be ridiculous. Like, there's
yeah.
so many
Well, the
things.
thing is too with like I forgot what country does it, but the Europe, well, actually a lot of them do it. The siestas, like
Yes,
literally
yes, that's
siestas that happen
exactly.
afternoon time. Like
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I said that. Like, why isn't there siestas? Also, other countries, the holidays are ridiculous. They're like 2 weeks long, once a month, or every other. Like, they are real holidays. We get a holiday. It's a day. And there's no holidays. It's a holiday. That's it.
holiday. And also when it
That's what you
comes to
get.
like that's all you get. Like, and it's funny because like not even funny too, but it's just the fact of like when it comes to us like in America doing different, like, when it comes to like pregnancy and just like different things, you want to go on vacation and different things, but pregnancy, especially with paid leave, that right there, y'all know. Like it's just other countries are just like up here with it to some it being like free at that point.
Yes,
And
like
then
I think my friend was talking about this the other day. In
mhm,
Holland, I believe it was Holland, they pay you to take maternity leave. They pay you to take the year off so that you can raise another healthy citizen for their country. Like,
moving
come
to Holland.
on.
Like I'm moving to Holland.
Come on. It just makes
Yeah,
sense.
it shouldn't be like, it literally should be a thing in like every country where, because the and me not even having like have going, I can't even talk, have gone through it like in the way of just like I haven't been pregnant myself, but just the people I see, and the family I have and just friends and everyone, and then especially with our like course right now too, with developmental, I've been learning so much of the fact that like women go through so much during their pregnancy, like it's just so much to the point that that's what they deserve. They deserve that time to be paid and to be raising another healthy citizen, because it's like, hello, they're bringing your next, if anything, your next billionaire. That, oh, okay, at that point, yeah, they're making a contribution now to the country if they're a billionaire. You know what I mean?
Yes, like you have to have an established set of money that's ridiculous to really try to make an impact. And that's the way that it's designed.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's why it's designed for only a certain amount of people to get that kind of money. It's not really about money, because
Mhm.
money is a figment, it's a fictitious
Mhm.
thing that we have created in our human life. It's more so about attainment, your ability to get it. And
I get
so
it.
that's really what it is. It's classism through attainment, because it's only given to those who already have it. Like, you can't be a billionaire unless your daddy was a billionaire, unless some weird phenomenon, freakish type of thing happened to you, which was you were an athlete, you were an entertainer, you were a singer, songwriter, actor, entertainer. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, or, like some type of thing like that, or a high public figure. If you aren't one of those things, and you can become a public figure through entrepreneurship, if you're not one of those things and you didn't get it passed down to you, it's really, the likelihood of it happening is like a lightning bolt for you.
It is. It's
When you
really
think
like
about it
it's
on a global scale,
yeah. Uh-huh.
you know?
Definitely. They it becomes, especially here in America too, like it's become such a thing where it's so like far away from us as well too, because of just that those type of people that they just, rather give it to. And when it does come with like entrepreneurship, which is like something that, it opens doors for other people to, you know, attain the money. Um, and like in my history too, like around the years of like 2016 to 2017, like those 2 years, I was, in the entrepreneur like ship with just multi-marketing. And let me tell you, it's so like, yes, I'll just say something. It's not for everyone. And that gonna stick to that opinion, because I know like the people working in those different companies, I respect them and I wish them so like well, everything, because some of them are still like some of my family members too. Um, but I personally, for me, it taught me a lot of presentation and a lot of always be, present yourself well. That it did teach me a lot of skills, which I respect a lot from those companies, and just I'm glad I have those that knowledge now. But I would just not. I'm just telling you, it's so not attainable, because you also have to. I don't want to talk for every company, but like a lot of different ones, you do have to invest. It's all about like investing too. You're investing. So if you do not have the money to invest, or if you do have the money but not to invest in that particularly, like it takes a while. It really does. And it goes also with the entertaining when it comes to influencers too. Um, sometimes I like rather use just like entertaining more, because like influencers, I guess I think it's because of the stigma it comes behind the word.
Yes. But
Um,
they just put another word on entertainers, because
yeah, they did.
before
I can't remember.
entertainers influenced us to buy. Like,
Exactly.
everybody knows that certain things came from certain people. Like,
Exactly.
way before there was influencers, Paris Hilton had everybody wearing pink, and everybody had chihuahuas, and everybody had dogs in the mall in their purses. And that came from Paris Hilton and Legally Blonde. So before there was
Yes.
influencers,
It was
people
the
were
entertainers.
influencers. Yeah, the
Yeah.
influencers are entertainers.
Basically,
They're
yeah,
just their own
entertaining.
bosses. That's it.
Honestly, I like, and I I feel like now it's funny because I get these messages sometimes like, oh, like you're creating content, and it's been amazing getting these conversations like DMs from people, and I'm like, wait, like am I becoming like it, which I'm honestly categorize myself into like beginning entertainer in a way, just with everything I'm starting to do and all that stuff. But of course it's really difficult just with what I'm doing. I'm already like, whoa, it's very, and I think this goes for every job that anyone does, doesn't matter what you do, nails, like hair, like
Yes.
psychology, anything, because
Anything.
consistency. It's definitely just
And you
keeping up
can't,
with it.
yes, and you cannot relent. Always, you have to always go harder.
Always
Like,
good.
that's
Yeah.
why I really hate the fact that college was pushed on us so much. I feel like that was such a
Mhm.
capitalist thing, because you could truly make anything you have a passion for your living if you are consistent and you have
Yes.
the time. If you have consistency, time, and honestly, money doesn't hurt. You need some money. Consistency, time, and money, you can make anything happen. But they make those three things impossible. You have no time, and here we are talking about revenge procrastination. You have no
Yes.
money, and here we are working so that we can revenge procrastinate
Mhm.
because we have no money. And then, like the things that you need, you can't be consistent if your schedule never allows you to be consistent because you're working so hard to make money so that like it's part of the hamster wheel. So
It
like
is.
most people who have been successful have, like you said, jumped out on faith off of the hamster wheel, invested in themselves, time and money, risked some things, had to live the struggle life and hustle through it for a little while until
Mhm.
they could be put on. Because that's how it is. Like even with modeling, I modeled for a little while.
Mhm.
You have to do so much for free. You have to do so much stuff for free first before you ever get paid for stuff, unless you get lucky. Like I'm never counting the lucky people. I'm talking people who are going to places paying $35, $75 to print comp cards just to give them out to a person who may never even look at it. And you had to pay to have it printed on this, specific paper. And you're doing all that. Is no different than a person going to college paying $75 for a textbook they never actually read, and printing it out on paper at the damn library for what, 10
Library. Yeah.
cents for 10 cents a page. There's no difference. It's the same hustle. One is just different, it's the same
It's
thing.
different. It's like different paths that everyone takes
Mm-hmm.
to, like, in different, like, all the YouTubers and like people I like follow that that are doing really good right now. Half of them didn't even go to like college because that's it. Just they keep saying like it wasn't for me. Like they respect it for everyone else, which I really enjoy. They're very respectful people, the ones I follow, and they're
Mm-hmm.
just like, you know what, it wasn't for me and everything too. And I feel like, again, going back into the whole like RBP, it goes into just like, I feel like no matter what lifestyle it is too, like I just feel like the society and just the way the world is right now, it's making it so hard for either path to be attainable sometimes, because one is like, okay, I have college, I need to figure out my education part of it. And then when it comes to like the whole like social media or just whatever someone does to make money without going to school, it also becomes like really bad
Yes.
too, because the art BP is being used like throughout the
To
night, like
fuel your
they're
to fuel your
editing,
income,
they're
which
yeah,
happens to be your passion. So yeah.
so it affects, this is basically like how this, I feel like that's why when I read this I was like, this has to be everyone, like I know there's people are like, okay, I go to bed the time, which I totally like respect, but I feel like at some point like each person alive has done this.
Yes,
Like
I said that. I was like, I don't, unless you live a village lifestyle, which I feel like those people are so blessed in a
Mhm,
way to be able to, I don't know, especially if everything they have, they're able to survive and they're flourishing.
mhm,
So blessed of that way. Unless you're living a village lifestyle, or you're living off of like some type of trust fund and everything you're doing is just pure volunteer and whatever your heart
mhm.
desires, then yes, you're doing this. I don't see how you couldn't.
Exactly.
I don't see
It
how.
honestly it's because
Unless
the
you
people.
decided like, oh, okay, I'm okay with average. I don't
Like,
want
it's
anything
fine.
more than average. Average suits me, because there are some people like that. Like I know personally people
Mhm.
who are like, okay, I want my average house, my average car, my average clothes,
This
and
and
eat my
that.
average food because I'm okay with this and this fills me and I don't want
Mhm,
anything more than this. Then I feel like you're blessed in your own right because you are truly
mhm.
happy and fulfilled with those things, and you don't have to jump through hoops to obtain them. But if you're like a driven person who really doesn't feel truly happy or fulfilled without obtaining a certain amount of success in life, bruh, it's hard for you out here.
It definitely, I feel like I'm glad that you kind of brought that up too, because I feel like that is, especially now, with not really getting as much fulfillment in the daily, just a day, for everyone. I feel like we always search for, like, I feel like we're never happy. We're always very just trying to, go through life. And that kind of goes with the whole like villages, like different people are living in ranches and different things that are living those kind of different lifestyles. They were content with what they're doing because it's just that's
Yes.
all they know. Or
But it's
they just,
also enough for them. They're
and
helping
then
their
it's enough.
community. They're
Hmm.
making an impact. They're feeding people. They're putting food in bellies. They're,
Hmm.
doing whatever they're doing that they're contributing to their community. And yeah, that's it.
They're good.
They're
They're
making an
like,
impact.
and when it comes to those that are like, in the city or just in general, just having that society where it's just very toxic. Cause like, yes, I'm gonna say that the society is very toxic in a way of just like, you see different things in the media where just like, what is happening? So to a point where there's a lot of times, and I think it comes through this in general, I feel like it goes to a lot with, you wanna get better at what you're doing, but then there's parts where you give up. So I feel like you're just kind of back and forth on this thing where you're just like, what am I supposed to do? Which takes with your me time as well. Cause I would catch myself sometimes when I'm like watching the news. And I think I told this one time to my mom as well, that I was like, I'm just gonna go on my phone. Like, cause we were watching the news in their room, and I was just like watching it with them. But then I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read more about like what happened with one of the mass shootings, like when I get to bed. And I literally like sat down in my bed. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I should not be using that like as a me time after, like, of course, yes, be aware, read articles about mass shootings and just all the stuff that are happening around the world, just so you could be aware and alert when you're out there in the, like, okay, cool. Like, oh, but yeah, be out there in the world and just like, you have to know what's happening. You can't just be blinded and be like, oh, it's all unicorns and butterflies out here. Like, it's good to know all this stuff. But then I was like asking myself, I'm like, why am I making it? I was like, okay, I'll do my research like at night. I'm like, I should go to bed that way. Yes, like the world is the way it is. I'm not gonna, like, I mean, I'm hoping, actually, I'm the type of person that I know there's gonna be some type of change. I don't like kind of just, I have like this thing where I don't like giving up when it comes to like just all the stuff that's happening. And I think that's why I spend my time, my RBP, basically doing all of this stuff as well. Because I'm just like, no, like, I don't want to just like let it go and just be like, oh, that's how the world
Right.
is. And we're just going to keep it
Right.
that way. Because
You
it's
don't want to
no,
look at
like,
your kids and say, oh, I didn't do anything
sorry. Like,
about that. And
mhm,
no, you want to be like, oh, mom did this,
yeah.
or I was making sure I advocated for this, I did this. You want to
Hmm.
be able to say you left a legacy. It's too much. Like, we should be able, I feel like, as smart as we are as a society, as supposedly intelligent we are as a society, we lack emotional intelligence
Hmm.
as a whole. And if we spent more
Definitely.
time focusing on educating emotional intelligence versus academic intelligence, then we would be in a totally different place. Because if
Yes.
there was a way that we could create a society that wasn't monetized, that you just lived and things did not cost money, but everything was provided that you wanted, as long as you did your duty
Hmm.
for society. Could you imagine? There would be no need for crime because you don't need to steal to have the things you wanted, because you could just have them as long as you did your
Yeah.
job. There would be so many things. Jealousy, what? You got one, I got one. We all got one.
We all
Like,
got one.
there would be
Yeah.
no problems for that. I think the monetization is the everything we've named today. This is my brain just like putting everything together. Everything we've named today ties in with competing between money and our true desires. I want to be an artist, I want to create art, I want to entertain, I want to be an entertainer, but I have to go to grad school in order to do this role, or I
Mhm.
want to be a therapist, but in order for me to say that I can do this job, I have to have the paper, I have to have the letters behind my name, but it costs so much for this paper. Like that paper was free, I would have had it a long time ago. Like there's just so many things that are in the way, but they all connect back to money.
Exactly. And I feel like with that whole like just like having that concept of just, giving everyone, that opportunity to just be at the same level. And also I feel like what's super important as well too, and like you could like kind of chime in on this as well with being a teacher. I feel like a lot of reasons why a lot of our knowledge as well too, with just certain things and why a lot of people are closed-minded is because of the type of classes that we teach. Of course, all these subjects are very important with what, our skills and everything, but I would want some added as well too. And I know it's just a lot on like teachers' part as well too, but it just, why wasn't there like a mental health class in, as a younger kid or like, going into like, middle school or high school, like there wasn't, I had to find out about, thinking that I ended up having anxiety and it was normal until like college. And that was sad for me because I mean, I already knew what like anxiety was and everything, but I didn't know like, I feel like everyone's like, that's why everyone's like, oh, when they see someone that has different something, going on with them, like a mental illness, they're like, what? Because it wasn't taught as a thing to them, Of
Right.
course, like not all of us are like that, but I feel like it wasn't taught to be such a like, this might have, you might meet someone that has this, and it's totally normal.
Yes.
So I
I
feel
feel like
like those
everybody
classes,
has something. If
everyone
you
does.
have just like everybody has a blood type, everybody has some diagnosis I think that can possibly fit somewhere,
Mhm,
whether it's anxiety or depression or
mhm.
something. Everybody has something. They need to like remove that whole stigma that
Stigma
there's
of like,
perfect people.
there is, yeah, no, I totally glad that you brought it up like that. Like, you're right. There is, we all have some sort of like, I think throughout my years now, since I like found out I had it, I was like, oh, like there's so many people that I've met and the way that they talk to me, the way that they vent to me, they're like, hey, like this, I could tell, like they probably have like are going through something and have something from like the DSM, like
Yes.
it's just,
Or
I think we
or
all,
some things in their life is maladaptive. There's no
uh-huh,
perfect person who has no maladaptive parts to their life. There's no like, where
there's
is that
none.
person? Who is he? Where or she? Where are they?
Where are they? Can I meet
Help
them?
us. Help us. Help us.
Please. No, and I kind of like winding it down a little bit too. I did want to ask you, going back with like our topic and everything, because we went, which it does have to do with a lot of things that we talked about. It affects a lot of like different lifestyles and just life in general. Was how it's kind of like a two question thing, but how do you think would be a way to like, how are you going to, now that we know more about it, how are you going to, Jessica, find a way to start, knowing more about this and start kind of applying it to your life? And then also, what are ways that you could see people also, like what skills do you think that they should start having, or what do you think they should start doing to get help on the, or not get help, I don't like that word too much, but kind of like
Not a remedy.
not ruminating, yeah, basically, because I do this a lot too. I should, like, I need to like myself, this is probably helping me a little bit too, because I do this as well. So what is something that we could do as a whole to just start knowing more about this, and also just how to, fix it a little bit, or make it, have me time to a point where it is during the day, not during like, or do it in a way where it's healthy if it's at night.
Well, I can just tell you what works for me and then what and things that I've been
Mhm,
thinking about. So what
definitely.
works for me is, and it's sad, but it's true. My bathroom time is also second to phone time.
Hmm.
I use the bathroom, but I also take my full 15 minutes or my full 10 minutes or my full 5 minutes, whatever your job will allow you to do. Like if your job's gonna be like, oh, you went to the bathroom for 15 minutes, where have you been? Then don't do it at that job. Okay. Do it at do the 5 minute session. But take that time, use the bathroom, wash your hands, whatever, step off to the side, step off in a stall,
Hmm.
do your little text, check in with your family or whatever, look on your Facebook feed, get your Instagram really quickly, and then boom, go back. So that way you don't feel like you went the entire, because the problem is like for me, sometimes at the end of the day, I do the binge because it's like, oh, throughout this day, it's been 15 notifications and 22 messages and this and this. So that I binge, and the next thing you know, it's been 2 hours. No, all throughout the day, I try to do little teeny checks to just be done with it, so that when I get to the point where I'm saying I'm disconnecting, right? So that's the first thing I do. Second thing is you have to have a disconnecting time. I'm not really good at staying strict to that. Bless you if you can. But you need to have a disconnecting time, like say 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I'm going to put my phone down. This is the disconnection from social media, from people in the world. You can even disconnect from the TV. I don't know. Some people are people who watch TV to bed. We know it's not good for us. We do it anyway. So whatever your disconnection time is, have that. But I also have a disconnection time on my TV. Like I have a sleep timer. After 1:30, my TV goes off. Because if I'm still up at 1:30, that's a message that says, girl, why are you still up? You need to go. Yes, my TV does that. Yes, at 1:30 a.m.
1:30 is my thing.
Bye. Because it's just like, girl, at this point, if you have to find the remote to turn this back on, what's going on? Why are you doing this?
Something else is happening. Yeah, no. 1:30 is my time too. So that's
yes. So set yourself a hard pass time. Like this is the hard pass time. If you get to this time, you need to say a hard pass on whatever you're doing, and it needs to wait till the next day, because whatever you're doing, you're only doing it half-minded anyway because your body's tired.
Yes,
that's exactly. One thing I do. It gets first to the day. I give myself a hard pass, no time, and then I create my list. So I live off the list. I have a must-do list. That's the list. That's the part of the things of the day that I do first. These are things that I must do to feel satisfied, adequate, happy, achieved. I achieved something. I'm adequately at my text level of the day or whatever. I'm satisfied with how much I've connected with other people, and I'm satisfied with the self-care I've done for myself. That's my must do. Must do's get done first. Yeah. And then after I do my must do list, I do my you need to do it. These are things that if you don't do it today, you're gonna have to do it tomorrow. Yes. So if you get it done today, it eliminates some things that you need to do tomorrow and may free up your schedule for tomorrow, where you can take even more self-care. So that's why you try to truck through your must-dos so you can get to your need-to-dos. So that way, hopefully you're creating a bank for yourself at the end of the week, like Friday and Saturday, for just free time, because you got all your must-dos and need-to-dos done during the week, right? And then there's the if there's time section. And you just put all your other crap there. And you get to it whenever you get to it. I'm telling you, if it's not for a week, fine. Yes. If it's not for 2 weeks, whatever. Put all the stuff that doesn't have a deadline in the if I can get to it section. And I've been doing this for like, I want to say, for at least half of the school year. And I want to say before I was doing this, I was running myself ragged, working 12, 15, 16, 18 hours on the computer, falling asleep on the computer, waking up on the computer. Like this was crazy. Then I started doing the must-do list, the need to do, and the if you got time list. And I started stopping myself. Like, girl, this is definitely in the if you got time section. Why are you still doing this? You need to stop. Enjoy your life so that you can go to sleep at 10 today, or enjoy your life so that you can go to sleep at 11 today. So those are my tips. If it doesn't work for you, if you give it a full hearty try, then tailor it to work for you, tailor it how you need to. But I think most humans work off of routine or some type of standard for routine. So even if it's not a schedule, it's just, here's what I'm going to get done today. Because some people can't say at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And at 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this. Some people don't work like that. That's fine. Pick from your list however you may, schedule it down to the hour if you want, but don't schedule anything on that list that's not a need to do or must do.
Exactly. I hope you all like those tips. Those are really good tips. I'm taking notes myself right now, because I will do that for a little bit and then I stop and I forget. But yes, everyone take notes on that, because that's definitely a big thing. No matter what type of like lifestyle you like, or like again, like if you're a type of person, structure routine like I am too. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
structured. And or if you're more like free with like, you just go with the flow with the day, whatever hits you. But yeah, so I just want to thank you so much, Jess, for just, coming on here. It's just
Yes,
being,
it's my pleasure. I'm honored.
yay. And we'll probably talk about this too, like the RBP on stereo. If y'all have know that app, stereo, the little like emojis. We could probably do it on there because that we could bring more people, to actually be live. So that would be pretty cool
Yes,
too.
and then you guys can
So
talk to us about how
yes,
you're gonna implement these things in your life, and if they are working, tell
yes.
us, did they work?
Did they
Because, and
work? So,
also remember, the key
mhm.
in the must do section are things you have to be happy. You should at least put 3. Like, I
Yes,
must have coffee, or I must have this, like whatever your 3 is, because you have to fill yourself. You have to fill your own
yeah,
cup.
because it's that self-care and that's the way you function. So that could be coffee, water, yoga, like whatever you want
Right.
to do at whatever time. Like again, like Jess said, like add those 3 to your you know, list.
Yes.
So I feel like yes, thank you so much for like we would have talked honestly for hours, but our
Girl.
schedules sometimes are just all over the place. And I kind of want to
Yes.
send Jess off, on her little date.
Yes, you guys. Oh, this is perfect for our show. This is perfect. This is my I make sure that we have a date time. And
Yes.
so we try to do it at least once a week, if not more. That's part of my, even though I have tons of crap to do right now,
You're like, it's okay.
I'm going to do it because we have to.
Exactly. It's needed. It's a must need, You
Yes.
also need those chats with everyone. So I feel like chats are very good for self-care. So yes,
Yes,
especially for
chats
like
outside of your relationship. Make
yes,
sure you
that's
have
what
somebody to talk to. Mm-hmm.
especially with if
Definitely.
anyone listening to this is in like school, grad school, all that stuff, having that one person you could literally call at like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. You're like,
Yes.
why am I doing this? Literally have that person just there ready, just so you like have that person, get that person for yourself, because
You're gonna
it's
need
gonna
it.
help you. We're each other's, because I
Yes.
literally am overthinking half the time. But I just want to say thank you so much, Jessica, and we'll stay tuned for another episode that we do together.
Yes. Yes. Stay
Yay!
tuned. Thank you
Yay.
guys. I had fun. That was good.
Yeah, I know. Like it's actually once like the whole thing like kind of put together too, it's like so good. I know I'm still recording on like for YouTube, so you're seeing the behind the scenes of like how I react after a like podcast. I'm like, yay! So
Yes.
I want to say thank you on here for watching. I know there's a lot of viewers that like visual, so that's why I made this a thing as well, and you get to see our faces. And if you watched and listened to both, respect for you, because I know that takes a long time
Yes.
as
You
well.
a real homie. The real
But
homies holding
yes,
it down.
holding it down. But I want to say thank you, Jess, again for just always being here. And we have a project soon coming up,
Yes.
and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of chats, more and more. So
We
yeah,
want
stay
more. We
tuned.
want more.
We want more. So to stay tuned for that. And yeah, we'll see you later. We're gonna stop the recording. So
Bye,
bye.
guys.